these beautiful pastimes with the cowherd boys in Vrindavan. And he would sit down, Krishna, and he would have these beautiful lunches with the cowherd boys. And the cowherd boys would be sharing their lunch with Krishna. They would be saying to Krishna, "My mum made me this really nice fruit salad today. You should try some, Krishna." Or, "My mum made me this beautiful sandwich. Try this, Krishna." And Lord Brahma was looking on, and he was like, "No way my father, my Lord, Narayan, would eat from the hands of a mere cowherd boy. No way this is possible." And Lord Brahma, he then hatched a plan. He thought, okay, this little cowherd boy, he seems to have the same potency as Narayan, being able to take out Agusura. But no way he's the supreme. He's just hanging out with these cowherd boys. He's doing these day-to-day activities. The boys are throwing grapes into his mouth. No way this is the Lord. So Lord Brahma, he stole the calves and the cowherd boys. And he thought to himself, once and for all, I'll see who this Krishna really is. Unknown to Lord Brahma, Krishna expanded himself into duplicates of the calves and the cowherd boys. It went for 1 whole year. And later that trick was revealed to Lord Brahma as all the cowherd boys and all the calves expanded themselves into forms of Vishnu. It was at this moment that Lord Brahma understood that Krishna was the source of Narayan. Lord Brahma came before Krishna to glorify him as the Supreme, and he revealed his heart to Krishna. "My dear Lord, all I want to do is take birth in Goloka Vrindavan. I want the dust of all the residents there upon my head." But Krishna did not respond at all. Krishna's amongst the fields and he's just thinking to himself, who is this guy with 4 heads? Why is this guy even talking to me? What is he even saying? I'm too busy looking for my calves. I don't have time for this guy. And Lord Brahma, he departed. He didn't want to disturb the Lord anymore. And this entered a deep time of contemplation for Lord Brahma. He understood the Lord's position and he began to meditate on the Lord and his upcoming pastimes as Lord Chaitanya. The Lord was pleased with this and gave Lord Brahma a boon that he would take birth in the next pastimes upon earth. The Lord's pastimes as Lord Chaitanya. So, he took birth as Haridasa Thakura. Haridasa Thakura ki jai. This happened around 30 to 35 years before the appearance of Lord Chaitanya in the village of Budan, it's east of Bengal, known as Bangladesh, in a family of Muslims. Just like to add a point here, we see how exalted Haridasa Thakura was, and he was born to a family of Muslims, and it was a very difficult background to get brought into at that time, taking the Krishna consciousness. But it also shows us that no matter what our background is, what country we come from, what colour we are, anything like that, none of that matters. The main thing is that Krishna consciousness. So Haridasa Thakura is eternally liberated, associate of the Lord. He said that the associates of the Lord are worshipable wherever they make their appearance, just as Garuda appeared as a bird and Hanuman as a monkey. Haridasa Thakura appeared in a family of Yavanas, Mohammedans. From his very birth, he was deeply devoted to the holy names of Sri Krishna. After leaving home, he stayed in the forest of Benapole he constructed a cottage, planted a tulsi, and constantly chanted, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Haridasa Thakur chanted day and night. He would chant 300,000 times a day. We can't imitate this, but we can follow his example by chanting our 16 plus rounds a day and also offering our respects to Tulsi. But Haridasa caught someone's eye who didn't really like what he was up to and the respect that he was gaining. Ramachandra Khan. He couldn't tolerate the respect given to Haridasa Thakur. So Ramachandra Khan and his friends, his rascal friends, put together a plan. Let's bring this Haridasa Thakur down. Let's destroy him. What can we do? What plan can we put together? And we see here this is what happens when one's covered over their heart, their mind. They can't see the brilliance of a devotee like Haridasa Thakur. So Ramachandra Khan put together a plan. Okay, we'll organise a prostitute to bring him down. This will ruin him once people find out about this. That night, the girl dressed herself in fine garments and made her way to Haridasa Thakur's little hut. She offered her obeisances to Tulsi, offered her obeisances to Haridasa Thakur, and sat at the doorway. She then began to glorify Haridasa Thakur. You're such a great preacher. You're such a great devotee. You're so beautifully built. Who can control their mind after seeing you? I'm eager to be united with you. My mind is greedy for this. If I don't obtain you, how will I keep my soul and my body together? And Haridasa Thakur replied, I shall accept you without fail, but first I must finish my chanting. Until this time is done, please sit and listen, and once I'm done, I'll fulfill all your desires. And we see this sentence here which Haridasa Thakur just said. He chose his words wisely, using I shall accept you without fail and I'll fulfill all your desires. And we'll see later in the story that that actually manifests in its truest form. After the first night, she returned to Ramachandra Khan with the news, and they planned go again the next night. She returned the next night. Haridasa Thakur looked at her. I see that you were disappointed with that first night. Excuse my offences, but tonight I shall accept you and fulfill all your desires. But until then, just sit down and listen and hear my chanting. Once again, sitting at the door, Haridasa Thakur chanted, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. She also said some words that night. Oh my Lord Hari, oh my Lord Hari. At the end of the night, the prostitute was feeling a bit restless. Haridasa said, I'd vowed to chant 10 million names this month. It's nearing its end. I thought I'd finish my yajna tonight. I tried my best, but I didn't. Tomorrow, I'll certainly be able to fulfill your desires and enjoy with you. She returned to Ramachandra Khan with her report, and then once again, she returned the following day. The next day, she came in earlier than usual. She offered her obeisances to Tulsi, Haridasa Thakur. He looked at her and said, your desires will be fulfilled tonight. It's going to happen. The night ended, and Haridasa Thakur association transformed the prostitute's mind. Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj comments, watching the manifestation of supernatural forces of the character of Haridasa Thakur, the heart of the woman was changed. And we see here this is what happens when one can get a moment's association with a pure devotee, an Uttama Adhikari. It's so powerful. One can attain Krishna Prem. So just like this prostitute in this story, we see so many boys and girls in the world right now who are in a worse position than this young lady, completely bewildered by the material energy, taken over by sex, intoxication, gambling, meat eating. It makes the mind very dull, covers the heart, and it's very difficult to understand these higher topics and live a life of self-realization. But just as Haridasa transformed this girl, Srila Prabhupada came to the West just over 50 years ago with his supernatural force of character and transformed hearts all around the world, just as Haridasa did many years ago. Now purified, she fell at Haridasa Thakur's feet and begged for shelter. He went on to explain, I knew Ramachandra Khan hatched this plan. I could have left 3 days ago. I could have just been on my way. But I know that he was nothing but an ignorant fool, and therefore I don't feel happy. I did stay though for one reason. I stayed because I knew that you were coming, and I stayed to deliver you. She went on to take initiation from Haridasa Thakur. She went back home, gave away all her possessions to the Brahmanas, knowing that she earned it in an illicit way. She came back, shaved her head, moved into a master's home as he left, and Haridasa Thakur instructed her to chant 300,000 times a day and worship Tulsi Devi. And she ate only what she received. Later she became a very celebrated devotee and became extremely elevated, and many would come to visit her. And this is the potency of the holy name. Everyone can transform their lives just as this young lady did through associating with devotees and chanting this holy name. It is so powerful. It is said that in this age of Kali there is no other means, no other means, no other means for self-realization than chanting the holy name, chanting the holy name, chanting the holy name of Lord Hari. The next pastime, Haridasa Thakur beaten in 22 marketplaces. So Haridasa Thakur started to make a bit of a name for himself. He was getting known for all his glories. His glories were spreading far and wide. But there was a Mohammedan king who didn't really like what he was up to. This once Mohammedan man now chanting this Hindu mantra and people appreciating what he's doing. He thought to himself, bring this man before me. We should put him on trial. The Mohammedan king told Haridas, just give up this chanting and say the Kalma, the prayers of the Mohammedans. And Haridasa Thakur replied, the Supreme Lord is one. Though his names might be different, the Hindu Sastras and the Puranas, the Hindu Sastras are the Puranas, and the Muslim Sastra is the Quran. Everyone acts as he is inspired by the Lord, as also do I. Some Yavanas become Hindus and some Hindus become Yavanas. To worship the Lord, O Maharaj, you can now judge me. Hearing these words, the Qazi replied that it would be necessary to punish him. Hearing the decree of the Qazi, the Mulik Pati addressed Haridas, my brother, just follow our religion, your own religion. Then you have nothing to worry about. Otherwise, you'll be punished. Haridasa Thakur replied, even if you cut my body into pieces, I will never give up chanting Hari Nama. After hearing the words of Haridas spoken with great determination, the Qazi declared, He should be beaten in 22 marketplaces. If he doesn't die after this, then I will know that he is a learned gentleman and speaks the truth. Thus, having heard the words of the Kazi, the sinful Mulukpati then ordered that Haridasa Thakur be beaten in 22 marketplaces. Haridasa Thakur remembered the chanting of Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And in the happiness of the remembrance, he did not feel any bodily inconvenience at all. As the demonic associates of Hiranyakashipu tried in so many ways to kill Prahlad Maharaj, they were unsuccessful. Similarly, the demonic Mohammedans, though they tried to harm Haridas, were unable to do so. Haridasa Thakur was immersed in the nectar of the holy names. And thus, the Mohammedans came to understand that he was no ordinary person. Thus, they humbly submitted to Haridas. Haridas, we understand that you're a genuine, saintly person. No one can do anything to you. But the Mulukpati won't understand any of this. Rather, he'll have our heads. Hearing the frightening pleas of these men, Haridasa Thakur entered a deep meditation. The Mohammedans carried his body on their shoulders. The Mulukpati he then ordered them to take his body to the Ganges. Haridasa's body floated down the Ganga until he reached Fulla Ghat, where he got out of the water and began to loudly chant Hare Krishna. Seeing the greatness of Haridasa Thakur, the Mulukpati became fearful along with the other Mohammedans and came there to beg Haridas for forgiveness for their offences. Considering him to be a holy man, they all offered their obeisances and thus were delivered from their offences. Having witnessed the pastimes of Haridasa Thakur, the devotees were in complete ecstasy. Haridasa Thakur ki jai. Jagai and Matai, another pastime with Haridasa Thakur. Just over 500 years ago, Lord Nityananda and Haridasa Thakur were instructed by Lord Chaitanya to go out preaching in Navadvip, just as many of the devotees do today. They were going door to door. Some were very favourable, and some were just considering them to be completely crazy, completely mad. And one day while they were out, they seen these two drunkards. They were brahmanas at one stage, but they committed every crime that one could commit. Always drunk, they would hurt and harm anyone who stepped before them. Vrindavan Das mentions, although the most sinful, they had yet to commit the topmost sin, which is Vaishnava Aparad. He mentions that Vaishnava Aparad is the worst thing that one can do. Seeing the brothers, Nitai felt compassion and he wanted to deliver the brothers from their condition. He was singing Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He incarnated to deliver the most fallen, the most sinful. He thought by delivering these two, the Lord's names would spread far and wide all over the world. He was wishing them to be intoxicated on the holy name as much as they were intoxicated on the liquor that they were drinking. He expressed to Haridas his desire. We need to deliver these two brothers. Haridasa Thakur approached the two brothers, although warned. He was warned that these two men, they've been polluted by cow killing and also killing brahmanas. Anyway, they approached the brothers and they urged them, chant the holy names of the Lord. They also said to the brothers, Krishna is the Supreme Lord. Krishna is your father. Advising the brothers to give up their sinful activities, Jagai and Madai became completely enraged. They charged towards Lord Nityananda and Haridas, who fearfully ran for their lives. They ran as fast as they could, and the heavily intoxicated Jagai and Madai chased after them. They kept running, they finally got away. They looked at each other, their eyes were lit up. They embraced each other. We got away. They went back to Lord Chaitanya and told the Lord of their stories. The Lord then inquired about Jagai and Matai, and he was told how the locals were completely terrified of them. Nitai then asked the Lord, please Lord, deliver these two brothers. And the Lord replied to Lord Nityananda, he said, they were delivered the first time they laid their eyes on your moonlight face. Haridasa Thakur then went on to tell them about their ecstatic preaching adventures. He was explaining how Lord Nityananda was always restless, jumping around, jumping into the Ganga and wrestling crocodiles. I remember when I was over in Maipur and we would jump in the Jalangi and relive that pastime. It's a good time. He would even try to beat up kids on the shore. He would steal milk. He would propose to all the girls. He was completely intoxicated in love of Godhead. So one night, Nitai seen the brothers as he walked along the Ganges. And he said, I'm going to see the Lord. And Madai picked up a clay pot, looked at Lord Nityananda and threw that clay pot right at his head. It struck him on the forehead and blood began to ooze out. His brother Jagai stopped the brother from any further attacks. Hearing the news, Lord Chaitanya ran to the scene. And he summoned his Sudarshan Chakra to cut off their heads. The brothers became fearful, and Lord Nityananda jumped in front and explained how Jagai stopped him from any further attacks. And on hearing this, Lord Chaitanya became very pleased and he embraced him. And Jagai fell at the Lord's feet and Jagai wept in ecstasy. Then Madai, he followed suit. He jumped at the Lord's lotus feet. He begged for forgiveness. He said, we both committed these sins together. So it's not fair that he gets delivered and I don't. We both should be delivered. The Lord went on to say, how could I forgive such an offence like that of hitting Lord Nityananda with a pot? Madai then went and grabbed the feet of Lord Nityananda and begged. Nityananda pleaded with the Lord, and after a short time, Lord Chaitanya forgave Jagai. It just goes to show the potency of surrendering onto Lord Nityananda's lotus feet. It never goes in vain. The Lord accepted all their sins accumulated for lifetimes. And Jagai and Madai became great devotees, bathing in holy places daily, chanting 2 lakhs daily, and fixing their minds completely on the pastimes of the Lord. Seeing this pastime take place, even Lord Yamaraj was completely ecstatic, seeing these 2 sinful brothers delivered, along with all the demigods. Chitragupta couldn't even keep up with their sins. Day after day, he was just writing their sins, sin after sin after sin after sin. So when they found out they were finally delivered by Lord Chaitanya, the demigods were dancing in ecstasy. Lord Shiva was dancing, his dreadlocks going everywhere. Narada Muni dancing in ecstasy. So once again we see the potency of the association of devotees just coming into that little bit of contact, and the strength of the holy name. And we see also Haridasa Thakur, his brilliance in his passing in Jagannath Puri. He chose when he left his body, and he left his body in the association of the Lord Chaitanya and all his associates. It was a very ecstatic passing. Lord Chaitanya picked him up after he left his body and was dancing in ecstasy and performed the final rituals. So here we have some of the transcendental pastimes of Haridasa Thakur, our Namacharya, leading by example. Just some points that Srila Prabhupada made. He explains that in the world there's always going to be materially lower, higher class in society, even in country, but spiritually there's no consideration. It doesn't matter what your background is. One can take to this and get the full benefit. Haridasa Thakur ki jai. Would anyone like to add any little pastimes they Krishna Kirtan? It is also said when Haridas was getting beaten in those 22 marketplaces that the Lord was taking those beatings for him and had the marks on his back. So, protected by the Lord.
So that's just another little detail I was going to add. Also, during that beating, Mahaprabhu Leela Chaitanya Mahaprabhu explained that he was actually going to kill those Muslim beaters, you know. Again, some sort of some chakra, but it's explained that simultaneously Srila Haridasa Thakur was praying for the deliverance of these two men beating him.
Yeah.
So the Lord was powerless, he couldn't act, he couldn't actually function, because the compassion and the mercy of Srila Haridasa Thakur was greater than the Lord's wrath.
Thank you for speaking last time, Haridasa Thakur. I just was thinking how nice it is to hear the stories of Lord Chaitanya, the Gaura Leela, and his associates. It's like it's astonishing to think about Lord Brahma taking birth just not so long ago, and the religion. Like it mentioned that he took birth in the Muslim religion, and the Muslim religion is still present. So it's like just thinking like the creator of the engineer of the universe was experiencing what it was like to be a Muslim in this world, obviously on an external level. I heard a class by Radha Swami about Lord Nityananda's pastimes, and when he told the Jagannath pastimes, he explained how incredible it was that Lord Brahma and Lord Balaram were wandering the streets of Nadia, requesting, begging. They were falling at the feet of the conditioned souls, begging them to chant Krishna's name. It's an amazing meditation to think about the creator of the universe and Lord Balaram himself together wandering around begging conditioned souls to chant Krishna's name.
Anyone else would like to add anything about Haridasa Thakur?
guy like stopped Maharaj to pick the Nityananda Prabhu. So Jada was more favored by Mahaprabhu. So when Mahaprabhu was hugging him, so the golden body of Mahaprabhu became like black like pitched up. And Mahaprabhu declared that they like, if anyone from today is often an devotee, I'll give all this thing to the person.
Yeah.
So we have to be very watchful to Vaishnavas. Like even they say, like even you don't become happy by seeing Vaishnava often. So like, so that culture should come. Yeah, Vaishnava, like you say, is very dangerous.
Yeah, we see how important humility is in these Haridas Thakur pastimes and how he exhibited this humility. For one to understand spiritual topics and to move forward in spiritual life, that has to be there. And for one to get the full benefit from chanting Hare Krishna, humility must be there. Without that, it's very hard to move forward. It's very hard to understand spiritual topics. It's very hard to help other people understand spiritual topics when that's not there. So yeah, humility, it's so important.
Maybe a question or comment for my experience. I heard Srila Prabhupada a few weeks ago, I was either reading or hearing him speak on Srila Haridasa Thakur. He made an interesting statement. He said that Srila Haridasa Thakur is much more advanced than all Brahma.
I read that, yeah.
Yes, which is considering they're the same third personality. Also, I think it's mentioned that Srila Haridasa Thakur was a combination of
Prahlad.
and Prahlad, and Prahlad Maharaj.
Yeah, so Lord Brahma, Prahlad Maharaj, and another, there's three, right? And Brahma, yeah, the boy.
So perhaps that's why a combination that can be considered more advanced and more Brahma.
Maybe.
Yeah, that's an interesting thing to do there.
The Shastras actually mentioned Haridasa Thakur was actually an eternal associate of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So he has his own personality in the Leela of Lord Chaitanya in Vrindavan. So well, you know, when Lord Chaitanya has said he has his eternal Leela also in an area, Namanuit area of Vrindavan. So he's an eternal associate there, and when he descends, other personalities are given an opportunity to participate in that Leela. And actually, there's one account of the three personalities who appeared in the form of Haridasa Thakur, Brahma, Prahlad, and Brahma Mahatapa, the son of Rishi. And so the three of them combined to appear with the eternal Haridasa Thakur. There's different accounts that he was born in the Muslim family. Another account is actually he was born in the Brahmin family.
Yeah, I read that, yeah.
His parents died young, and then so he was orphaned and he was brought up in a Muslim family. Another account is that he was actually born in a Muslim family and his parents died in that family, and then he went and was brought up by another Muslim family. So there's different accounts, and it may be that at different times these all So he's an eternal associate, and this is made quite clearly. And in that sense, he's actually much more advanced than all those other personalities combined, at least as far as Brahma and Prahlad and personality also. So as far as Brahma, so I can understand when Prabhupada says like that, that's the situation. So Lord Chaitanya, of course, he empowered Haridasa Thakur to be the Acharya, the Namacharya, to preach the glories of the holy name. And Lord Chaitanya did it a lot through him. And so, of course, as he said, he appeared before Lord Chaitanya, 35 years before Lord Chaitanya. The whole sequence of events, even before that time, he was at the home Govardhana, and I think Raghunath does his parents. He was speaking on the importance of chanting and saying that even a slight glimpse of there's that story of Gopal Chakrabarti. He was a young Brahmin who criticised Haridasa for his statements. A slight glimpse of chanting will give one liberation. So he was offended by that statement, and he said that, this fellow, what do you all Brahmins think about this statement? And this fellow was saying a slight glimpse will give liberation. We know that after many lifetimes of cultivating knowledge, one may get liberation. He's saying just a slight glimpse. And then he said that I challenge that if you're so convinced that if you don't get liberation by a slight glimpse, then maybe your nose falls off. And so and Haridas accepted it, but others there were very offended and chastised. What was his name? Gopal Chakrabarti. Yeah. There was another Brahmin also who could, so that's another story again. But later on, of course, he got the leprosy and
yeah.
So this preaching, and Haridas Thakur, he made a statement that he said loud chanting and is better than even japa quiet chanting to yourself, because loud chanting can be heard by so many others, and so many others, even the animals and insects are also purified by your loud chanting. So he said that loud chanting and kirtan is even better than japa. Of course, japa is also good. But we know that when Lord Chaitanya went to Puri, Haridas Thakur almost immediately went down there also. And then he gave him a place near Kashmir, so nearby his own place. And of course, when we visited the holy place of Haridas Thakur, the city of Puri. So there's a lot of wonderful pastimes of Haridas Thakur. Very, very good personality in our Vaishnava Sampradaya.
I think we should have the last word, Maharaj. Okay. I was just thinking that he had so much compassion. I mean, we talk about people being elevated and we talk about humility, but at the heart of it, he really cared about those people.
Yeah.
And it's just a thought. For preaching, it's not just an exercise because Krishna makes the arrangements. As Lord Chaitanya told, wasn't it? You were reading that it was Lord Chaitanya who told Haridas to deliver his people. Krishna, he makes all the arrangements, but at least if we care and we have some passion to be companions to people, I think that's quite an important message I got from this as well.
Nice. Yeah, nice. I also heard that Haridas Thakur was with Shadwaita Prabhu when Lord Chaitanya took birth, and they were dancing ecstatically. I don't know.
I never understood how Rama, how could he forget that Krishna is is a supreme personality of God. If he, in the Brahma Samhita, is like describing Goloka planet, he has a peacock feather, like that. But then he forgets. How is that?
Maharaj?
He says yoga mind. Just pastime. So the Lord covers him over all that.
Srila Haridasa Thakur ki.